speechwriter under President Bill Clinton and current Burson-Marsteller worldwide chairman, Don Baer, in a Fox Business exclusive right now. Don, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
What are you expecting? Any bombshells to expect out of this hearing this morning?
No, I don't think so. And let's remember, she's done this before, right? Just after she left being Secretary of State, she actually appeared before another congressional committee. You remember, that's where she actually scolded them for going on and on and on about this. I think we've seen what they have to show in terms of the emails and one thing or another, and it's clear now the committee actually wants to downplay the Hillary Clinton presence after Kevin McCarthy's big gaffe over talking about how this was really politically motivated.
So you think this is just going to be straightforward? We're going to learn what she knew about security, a lot of expectation that she was getting requests for increased security but wasn't responding the way Chris Stevens and others wanted? Well,
that's a question of whether it was she, it was State Department, it was people down the track. I mean, all of those things. I think she's going to make it clear. She was the chief executive officer of the State Department, right? That's one way to look at it. And she was probably giving directions, one thing or another, to be done. Again, those kinds of decisions take time to be made. They knew they had a problem there. They had made some steps. They had moved some people around. But I don't, there are going to be more timelines here. There's going to be more sort of a discussion about who knew what when and all those kinds of things. But I do not think you're going to see any bombshells. It's been an interesting 2-week period for Hillary Clinton. She's kind of on a roll.
Yeah.
And actually she's going to go from this politically to Iowa for the Jefferson-Jackson Day dinner, which, as you know, for the Democrats is a huge thing in Iowa. That's where
Saturday night.
Well, and that's where 8 years ago Barack Obama really emerged as the person who was taking her on.
So tell us how this works from the public opinion standpoint. The Republicans have Hillary Clinton in front of a congressional committee. It looks like she's in trouble. Blame, ethics, all these issues that have been raised in the campaign work against her. On the other hand, the public, I can't imagine, is following this as closely as the media and Congress is. How does this work in the voters' mind? Do they view this as manipulative by the Republicans, or do they view this as guilt and ethical problems on Hillary's part?
I learned this a long time ago, and it's surprising because I was a journalist before I went to work for President Clinton. So I sort of used to look at it the way you all look at it. The public wants the politicians and all of us to focus on what matters to them. And what matters to them is their lives, their jobs, their children, their education.
Benghazi's far away.
It really is.
Well,
and so they
far
do all
away.
of this as the media trying to distract away from those things that matter.
It's far away on one level, but on another level, when you look at the poll that came out and you come up with the words that closely associate with Hillary Clinton, that first word was liar.
Yeah, this has dogged her.
So that's sort of where it fits in, Don.
It fits in. But why do they say that about her, right? Because this is what's focusing on. Look at what she focuses on out on the stump when she's talking to people. She's talking about how do we have a better education system? How do we get growth back into this economy in a way that's fair for everyone? When you hear her speech this weekend, she's going to be back to the message as, I'm here to fight for all of you. And that's where she wants to
go. But Don, you referenced earlier testimony where she scolded them in response to the Benghazi hearing. And those words were, what difference does it make? And that's stuck in the minds of the American people. People remember that, and the American voter is going to be reminded of that the more we get into this election.
You have to take the quote all the way out. What difference does it make? These men are dead, right? These great public servants are gone. What matters now is that we move on, that we fix situations like this so that they don't happen again.
But she said that in the face of questions that were still not answered. And some of the criticism has been that the right questions aren't being asked in these hearings, which could be the difference today.
Questions?
Well, the fact that we don't have questions answered, right? We don't know whether or not she actually had additional requests for security that were either ignored.
Actually, if you go back through the record, every one of those questions has been asked and answered. That's what the defense lawyers say, asked and answered. Right?
Well, you can say that.
So what would you advise her to do from a public relations standpoint? How do you handle this if you're running for president?
She should do exactly what she's doing. She should go in there. She should be very factual. She should give whatever answers there are. Should not be emotional. She should be presidential, frankly, in this kind of setting, which is hard to do because no president would ever be hauled before this kind of thing. And she should keep moving and she should quickly move back to what I was talking about. The concerns of the American people are not about this, not about looking backward. The concerns of the American people are about what's going to happen to this economy? How do we grow it? How do we make sure that what comes from this economy is shared fairly?
Well, it's interesting that you say that
because that's what this election is about, the future.
It pushes me to ask you about the future. What is her plan to grow the economy right now? I don't know that we know that. I know that she wants to double capital gains taxes. I know that she wants to be tough on Wall Street, and she wants to be tough on the regulatory environment. All I hear when I speak with managers of businesses about the regulatory environment, that's holding them back. So how does she intend on growing the economy?
She wants to invest in research and development. She wants to invest in the American people, the great talent of this country. She wants to invest in immigration and allow people to come into this country who can help to grow this economy, which we all know is part of that growth equation. She wants to get moving in an optimistic way about where America can go, because her point is, we've recovered, but we're not running yet. And we need to move forward and start running again.
The American people have shown in poll after poll shows that they do not see her as trustworthy. So while you say Benghazi is far away and the American people don't see that as that pertains to them, I think you're wrong. Today's going to be very telling, and these investigations, they do matter, and her testimony does matter. It does count.
Poll after poll shows that she beats every Republican head to head.
Well, the question has been diminishing. Her margin has been diminishing.
Poll after poll shows she's now moving again. Look, she won the debate. She's moved forward. McCarthy made it clear that this is politically motivated. He's out of the race for Speaker because of it. The Republicans are in disarray in the House because of it. She is moving forward. And you know why? Because she's getting the chance to show how focused she is on what really matters and how to move it.
So why has the margin over Bernie Sanders, why has that been narrowing?
Well,
why
it hasn't narrowed. After the debate, it actually widened in some of the key states.
But
what about Joe Biden not coming in now? Does that help her a lot?
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just takes that sort of
Everybody thought he was going in. What happened?
I never thought he was going in.
You never thought he was going in.
And I think his reasoning, look, everyone has to be respectful towards Joe Biden and everything that he and his family have endured. To basically say he's not going in for logistical reasons. There wasn't enough time. There wasn't a pathway.
He can't win it.
There wasn't a pathway.
There was not, you say?
No. Yeah.
Real quick, Kevin, you wanted to jump in here.
Yeah, real quick. I think the questions that need to be answered is, why didn't she talk to the Secretary of Defense? Why didn't she talk to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs? Also, why was she at home? You know, if you're the CEO of the State Department, why aren't you there? Why aren't you going back to the White House figuring out what's happening?
Well, she doesn't work in the White House. She works in the State Department. And her house is, basically wired and ready for all of that. So why you were not back at the State Department where no one was instead
Well, it's a crisis.
I think that's an irrelevant question, to be perfectly honest. I think people want to understand what happened during that period, how a tragedy like this could take place, which they should inquire
on
about.
her watch as CEO, as you say.
And the family members of those dead Americans want those questions answered as well.
Of course.
Don, thank you.
Thanks.
Good to see you. Don Baer joining us this morning. Fox